Well, because Walking Dead is peak, and I said I would in the last video, and plus these are really fun, I thought, let me reiterate what I said in last episode of AMC's The Walking Dead. Side tangent. What the fuck were they thinking when they killed him off? Like that, he's the main character in the comics. The whole story is told by his perspective. Spoiler alert, I guess. He's the main character, and I have to watch him die. Yep, this week's episode of AMC's The Walking Dead is going to be about Carl, and why ever Scott Gimple decided to kill him off. The dumbest decision. Honestly, I could post this as a YouTube short, and you would still... Like, why did they kill him? And this isn't like a fan servicey kind of like, oh, boo, you killed my favorite character, therefore I riot. How could you? No, this is like an integral character to the Walking Dead storyline. In the comics, he's bigger than Rick, like halfway through. So, I don't know. Honestly, if they really wanted to just kill Carl, they should have done it in any of these times.
Dad?
Not even from like a comic standpoint, as a like Walking Dead fan standpoint, a writing standpoint, a TV show standpoint, this was such a weird area to kill off such a main character. Like, not only was Carl becoming one of the best characters through his relationship with Negan, and his relationship as becoming, Rick Prime, basically. Like, this dude could survive anything. They kind of just do it out of nowhere. Like, oh, he got bit. That sucks. Oh, well. I could also go into the drama that happened behind the scenes between Scott Gimple and Chandler Riggs, who plays Carl. He got college near Atlanta. He moved down to Atlanta to film more episodes of The Walking Dead. It was going to become his priority because Chandler Riggs knew Whisperers were around the corner. This is my character. This is my storyline. I get to take charge of the show. And no, they just completely just killed him off. It was said many times in many articles and news sites that Riggs had expressed his disbelief and his different responses in several ways. He was shocked and said, it made sense for the story. And it was bittersweet. Like, speaking, realistically now, we're long enough into the video where I can give, my honest right hand up thoughts about this. I hate this. This, in my opinion, in my genuine opinion, is where The Walking Dead, completely fell off, done. What were they doing? Like I said in the last video, a lot of people, it was when Glenn died. A lot of people is when Abraham died. A lot of people was for this moment. A lot of people is for when Rick left. This is the moment that completely just middle-fingered the comics, middle-fingered the fans. They did it for shock value. They 100%, no matter how you put it, did it for shock value. That's all they did, and it's unbelievable to me. No matter how you put it, Carl got bit because we needed Skybound to have great reactions. We needed a great mid-season finale because we had nothing for the middle of the all-out war. Kill someone else. You have 50 characters in this war. You could have killed Dwight, could have killed Morgan instead of sending them to Fear the Walking Dead, which I know barely any of you watched. So I think it's stupid. I think it's genuinely the worst moment in the Walking Dead show. It killed the show for me. I was complete and utterly destroyed. I was upset. I was kind of just numb. Like, when I sat there on my living room floor, little old me, I watched as he didn't look good in the sewer and he revealed he got bit, and I was like, what? 6 months later, 4 months later, however much, I watched this episode and I'm like, this is bogus. This is unfair. I expected quality moments from this character. The Whisperer War is his storyline. Not to mention, they gave it to Henry, which... This moment makes me very mad. It's actually quite ridiculously sad. And come to think of it, this entire moment doesn't make me very glad. It's serious. The worst part in the show. Why would you do it? No, because it makes me upset. Because the comics, I said in the last video, here, let me pull up the receipts of the last video. Make it clear, I also read the comics. I had the third Walking Dead compendium, which pretty much was before the death of Glenn, all the way to King Ezekiel's death, who is the final member revealed of this very tragic moment. And that's where it ends. That giant, hard book that has like 1,000,000 Walking Dead comics in it, it ends with King Ezekiel's head sitting there on the pike. And I know the comics and the show can be different a lot, but I can't stress enough. Carl's character peaks from the moment he loses his eye to the moment he meets Lydia, and he becomes like a rage monster. He becomes a survivor. He becomes the embodiment of what happens when Shane and Rick raise you. He goes out on his own, he makes stupid decisions, but man, he owns it. He becomes his own character. And it's very clear because, spoiler alert, like I said many, many times, the comics end with him. It's the one moment in the show that actively upsets me because I want to see more of him with Negan. I want to see more of him with Daryl. Kill Rick. If you're gonna do this nonsense, right? Like, this is the final season of AMC's The Walking Dead with Rick Grimes. Season 9, episode 4, he leaves. And then 5 years later, you bring him back. You leave it open-ended for Rick to come back. Then he comes back in The Ones Who Live with Michonne, and he's brainwashed. He's all sort of nonsense. I can't go back, Michonne. Michonne, I can't go back. Rick, what about Carl? What would Carl do? I gotta go back, Michonne. I gotta make sure I go back. But yeah, I wish I could see Carl's storyline done justice. Legit, I hate to bring this up, but Carl's storyline in the Walking Dead TV show is kind of like how they did Carnage in Venom Let There Be Carnage. They brought it to life, but not the way we deserved, you know? Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's pretty much my rant. I can go into, I don't know how much more detail to go into about this. Carl was one of the most interesting characters in the show, like completely, from one of the most hated characters to one of the most loved characters. He was there from day one. He was the whole reason Rick got up and left the hospital. He's the whole reason Rick kept going. He survived on his own. He survived with Rick. He saved people. Carl was a hero in many ways in this show, and it's a legit tragedy that we'll never get to see his storyline done justice, because the fact that they gave it to Henry, who wasn't a fan favorite. Not many people liked Henry. Matt Lintz killed it. He nailed that, but it was not his storyline to tell. I don't understand why they thought it was a good idea. I thought he nailed it as Henry, and he nails it in so many roles he does. I actually had a video somewhere of Matt Lintz. It was like a cameo for me that someone got for my birthday. But he's a great guy. He's a talented actor. It's just his storyline was not meant to be Carl's. And for them to just move stuff around for the sake of doing so makes no sense. And it's not like, oh, well, Carl had Enid, and that's why we can't do the storyline because Carl already has a significant other. Carl had a significant other in the comics. Her name is Sophia. You may remember her from this. Yeah. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think down below. Is this the moment that killed the show for you? That's my rant. That's my TED Talk. Like, comment, subscribe. Not many of you do. Peace out. I'm gonna go crash out some more. That's why my room's a mess.